Well, hi, hello, Charlie. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Not too bad, not too bad. Congratulations, Charlie. I know that you have finished with very good qualifications, your degree in digital media and Excel. So congratulations again.
Thank you very much.
Are you happy about this?
Yeah, I mean, sad it's over. Went by very quick. I think that's probably to do with the fact that when we started, we were in COVID, and you were kind of wishing for time to move on so you could get out of lockdown. So so it's sort of like sped on through really, but I'm happy to be going on to the next step.
What are you up to now?
So I've recently, it's almost been a month now, but I've now got a new job as a graphic designer at a local design agency, which is quite convenient because it's only 20 minutes down the road. But I'm very happy there. It's been an exciting month, just getting to grips with being in the industry.
Okay, well, we tend to use this as a way to have a look at portfolios, and should I start showing some of the things that we have?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a script made. This is your major project, I believe. What is the concept behind this piece?
So in my free time, I enjoy acting on an amateur level. And I was always finding that when I was set a task, say, to learn some lines, I would be by myself at home and I'd be like, well, it'd be great to learn my lines with someone else. So then I took that sort of concept, learning lines with someone else, and was like, how can I effectively learn with someone else whilst also being by myself? And then this is where this idea came from, to make a sort of rehearsal assistant where I could not only record other people at the rehearsal, but I could also use their voices, with their permission, of course, to rehearse my lines when I'm not in the rehearsal room. But yeah, it's been an idea of mine for about a year or so. But the opportunity came up in the major project to do UI, UX, 3D and stuff, and I was just thinking, what have I got in my locker which I can use to build this up? Because it was a very quick turnaround to think of an idea. So it's sort of like, what can I draw from? It's been something that I've wanted to, even when I was making it, wanted to continue after the major project. I haven't done so yet because it's been a bit hectic, finding a job, then doing interviews, moving home from uni. There's been a lot going on.
Do you have any idea about what kind of architecture this tool would need to involve?
There's a few frameworks you can use. I know React Native is quite a possible mobile app framework, which is built off JavaScript. That makes me sound more intelligent than I actually am. I don't know too much JavaScript, so that's just from like some ground research. I'm sure there's probably easier ways of developing that product. The Hope Mill Theatre project rather was definitely out my comfort zone. Not necessarily the speaking to a client. I felt quite comfortable, arranging a call with them and speaking with them and getting feedback from them. It was more creating the work for them, which was something I'd never done before. Didn't know the standard that they would expect.
It's one of the skills that we, as young practitioners, we need to practice. It's not only about the 3D. It is sometimes usually easy to judge, in a positive or in a negative way. Oh, that looks so great. Or that's, I've seen much better things, easily done with, the guy of the donuts tutorials on YouTube. But it's not only about that, it's also the fact that you have been, framing this as a product for a client, which you have been establishing a relationship, client, designer, and how you manage, to accomplish with, deadlines. I've seen as well that you did another application. This is Storaging. Is it something?
That was more a group application, so I can't take full credit on that. But again, valuable skills learned during that. A lot of teamwork, making sure everyone's pulling their weight.
I don't know if you have a look at our XR environment, this gallery that we put together, this spatial gallery.
Yeah, I remember seeing that before the degree show. Yeah, it was very impressive. Very cool way of visualizing our work.
Yeah, no, it was nice to see all together, all the pieces. Your portfolio is something I really like. I really like your combination of colors, the professionalism you achieve, you know, in the presentation of yourself as a, you know, as a creative practitioner, as a, you know, as an artist, or, you know, as a professional. Thinking about yourself as a creative practitioner, how would you define yourself? How would you think of yourself as a UX designer, maybe as a developer, as a, you know, high concept designer? What exactly are you up to?
I think for me, it's too early to put myself in a box. I think it's so early after my degree anyway. Like, what is it? A month, 2 months after doing, 3D UX, web design, all that kind of stuff. And I feel as though I've got an all-round strength there. And it's just a case of what I'm feeling at the time. I mean, currently I define myself as a graphic designer, purely because that is my current job title. But actually graphic/digital design. But yeah, so to be honest, it just depends on what I'm working on currently. I think I'd aspire to be a UX UI designer later down the line, and I think I'm taking steps to get to that point. I'm not expecting it to be land on my doorstep straight away. I need to build up agency experience and working with other people and getting their opinions, and giving my opinion to their work, and
Yeah, this comes to at the end to all this, you know, very common question in our degree about what is a digital designer. Oh, I'm a digital designer, where everything is digital nowadays. No, like kind of, can I think of, or can you even imagine a non-digital designer nowadays? So yeah, no, I really like of your portfolio, and I'm seeing this very honestly. You and other students from our degree that have managed to explore so many different areas successfully. It is about that. I don't know to what extent you feel about the skills you have learned in the program and how those have helped you to find, you know, your place in the creative industries.
I mean, yeah, the course has been massive. I there's always this debate whether doing a degree is worth it. Spending all that money to spend 3 years university is a lot, and the living cost attached to it. But for me, I look at my job that I've got now, and I think, could I have got this job without having done the degree? And the simple answer is no, because although maybe their creative skills were there to begin with, like visually being able to identify what looks good, what doesn't. They may have been there, I don't know, but the actual skill of being able to put your ideas into practice is something that the degree has helped me to achieve. Learning the Adobe Creative Suite, or the most prominent apps, has been very, very vital in. I mean, it's you've got to have that creative ability to be able to, there's I remember fondly the design principles we learned, in year one, with hierarchy, color, typography. Learning all those rules has definitely made my designs significantly better to what they would have been or would be pre-uni, because I didn't really come from a massive arty background, and I had a lot of panic at the start, thinking, are they going to expect me to draw, because I can't draw? All I can draw is stick men. My art wasn't great, but for some reason translating it into a digital format taught me that anything's possible in the world of digital. Looking back on it, the colors sort of came to me very quickly. I did experiment with a few different ones, and there were like pieces of advice along the way, but it's interesting how little it changed from the start. So I sort of drew it up, and then I'd add something else in, then layer it on top. And to me, everything's all about layers. You start off with something simple, and then you go, okay, how am I going to make this design more professional? Add another layer. Okay, is it professional? No, add another layer, etc., until you get to the point where you're like, can I add any more layers? No, there's no room for any more layers. And then, yeah, my portfolio is born.
Oh my God, how many layers did you add to get to the limit of layers? It's like,
I mean, to be fair, there was a lot of, the beauty of digital stuff is that, as opposed to, drawing something out on a piece of paper, you have to rub it out, and you've got to spend time rubbing it out. But I'd try something, if it didn't work, delete it, go again. Try something, delete it, go again.
I think also it's very clear through your portfolio how you have this thing we have commented sometimes, how you coupled your personal passions with your professional exercises. And particularly I can see that you like football, so I don't, but I respect that. I can see as well this exercise on the theater, which I remember very well when you were working on that in the class. And I think it's very cool as well, or your 3D working with the theater. I don't know if you wanted to comment about any of these pieces.
I mean, yeah, like you were saying earlier on, I always made it one of my aims whenever I was starting a new module. I would look at what the brief would say, and if there was an option to do something different to what I'd already had done, then I would opt to do that, because then I've, using the experience of the lecturers that are there, I'd be able to, learn my skills in that speciality, to then maybe find, oh, actually, this is something I enjoy the most out of the rest. But, well, I mean, fortunately / unfortunately, I never really found which my favorite one was. It was always the case of whatever I was doing at the time I was really enjoying, which is quite fortunate. But it's getting increasingly difficult to try and whittle myself down to something like a 3D designer or a graphic designer, just because I enjoy both equally, and but for very different reasons. Because the products you create are two very different things. It's all visual. You've got to make sure everything's laid out correctly and designed correctly. They are two very different things, that's why it's quite exciting on the course, because you're never really doing the same thing.
At this point, I don't know, Charlie, if you would like to comment where we can find you.
Yeah, so I currently have a website. I mean, I haven't touched it in about a month, but it will be up to date by the time this video gets posted, I promise.
Good, great, very fresh, very updated.
So it's simply my name, charlielopkran.co.uk, which is quite easy to remember and quite useful for a personal portfolio. Okay. But also I am on LinkedIn. They're my two main ports of call for.
That sounds great. Well, thank you very much for your time today, Charlie. It has been a pleasure to see you again. I'm going to stop the recording now. Okay. See you soon.